consensus at home. Very crucial. Don't get into the business. Be an entrepreneur. If the mother is going to tell you every day, what a royal mess have you landed yourself when you had such a cushy job. I lined up a good girl for you, and now look at this. Or the wife reminds you see that 2 years back you had promised me a diamond ring and I don't have it. Or there is no vacation for a couple of years. Or you come home for 2 weeks, after the kids have gone to sleep. I'm telling you a practical thing. One of the reasons why we could survive well in our business was that our wives, those of mine and my partners, were very supportive. They took charge of homes because we were rarely around. This is important in Indian setup. You don't see that on the internet or the textbooks, or it's written in the courses, only because I think it's more vital for us Indians than Westerners. So, you now decide that you have the EQ, that you have the entrepreneurial quotient, that you have what it takes, and you want to take the plunge. Congratulations. Welcome to the fort. So now, what is it that you should have? Please, you need to have an idea whose value to the market is. You need to have an idea where you make the costs less. You enhance somebody else's profitability. You expand his customer base. You have a great location. You have a proprietary technology. Ask yourself, do you have a competitive advantage to bring to the table? It has to be a simple item. You need to present something which is tangible for somebody to say, yes, there is a ready market. Accepting, of course. There are exceptions in the sense that a Me Too venture is possible. In industry like pharma, it's an industry which is said to be having the prospect of 15 to 20% growth every year for next 20 years. So if you have a Me Too idea, it is possible that you can also swim in the current and you will reach somewhere. Because the industry growth propels you. But it's an exception. Your idea, if it is not in such a high growth industry, which I hope for next 20 years would continue to be the sunrise industry, in that event, you will have to have a clearly delineable, marketable, simple idea as I put it out. And then the market should be ready for that idea. There's no point in saying I have a great idea, it's marketable, but the market says, sorry, we don't think so. Please realize this is one mistake that we made. That you should put in the team, however thin and lean it should be. You should put together a team when you start your business which has complementary strengths. You would think that you can do everything. You can't. But be realistic about it. No, I don't need a chartered accountant because I know accounting. No, I'll do my marketing, you see, because I'm a very good salesman. Now, I take care of HR myself. I know how to recruit people. Forget it. You can't do it. make sure that you put together a team which complements your strengths. And that is why the role of a good business plan is paramount. It helps you identify those areas where your own strength is minimal. So you need to have a very small team, and so much the better if your own brother has it, or your own brother-in-law has it, or your own friend has it. Very nice. But when you get in relations, when you get in friends, be very clear about it. It should be tackled very unemotionally, that a system of reward and retribution should be in place in writing. The exit route should be very clear as to how you or anybody else wants to get out. Or more importantly, can be got out. Crucial. There is a brother-in-law working with you and your mother says, look, it's your sister's husband, and you are asking to go? Nonsense. Please. It should be provided clearly as to how any one of you needs to get out. Ideally, I think that the teams that you start with should be there for 5 years. You should have the infrastructure in place which ensures that people who start out with you are there for 5 years. At least, I'm saying 5 years, it's just a figure plucked out of air. But it's a time that is reasonable enough for your company to start standing on its own feet. You should have a value system for ensuring that this team lasts for long enough for your company to get a competitive advantage in the market. And there, because you can't afford to do marketing managers, and you can't have 2 finance managers, and you can't have 2 production managers. So therefore, this team should last, because you're going to have one. If it is your own relation who's a professional, so much the better. Very nice. But as I said, and I repeat, that if it is your relations or friends, then you should have a system in writing which delineates the rewards and the punishments. And the exit route should be very clear. You should always get into something which is scale. Scale is important. One restaurant is good, nice, it's not bad. What's wrong with one restaurant? But there should be a possibility of you building a chain of restaurants, because scale is going to be important in the competitive world of tomorrow. If you can help it, it should pollute less. Believe you me, I have experience. We are into a polluting industry. And the kind of pollution that you generate, you can control it. You should have a presence that is involving an industrial raw material and an industrial product. It's so much the easier if it is quantifiable. We are again in an industry which depends on a natural raw material. If it is sun, your leather is of one kind. If it is cloudy, the product is different. You keep on reinventing the wheel every day as to how to cope with these changes. You should be in the growing industry. I mentioned the case of pharma already to you. You should, if possible, you should sell the need. Again, I take the example of pharma. There's something which is going to be required, they need it. Shoes, You have 11 pairs. If you didn't buy another one, the Amazon number 4. In the downturn in 2008, 2009, Germany used to have 6 pairs per person per year. In 2009, that number went down to 4.6. You can imagine what happens to the industry. How much deacceleration? It was not negative growth. How much deacceleration took place in the pharma industry? From a growth rate of 17%, it grew at a rate of 14%. That's the difference. That's why I say that if you are selling a need, great. Professionals from day one. You will always have the desire to have your friends and relations. Good. If they can contribute to the growth of the company, very nice. But you are better off taking a professional. And so much the better if he sees himself as having to take a part of the rainbow that I talked about. Locate yourself in a cluster. We being in Nalagarh and Panchkula in our business where we were the only industry, we had to reinvent the wheel every day. You spend a lot of time doing it. Be a part of the cluster if it is possible. Quite a bit of effort is being now put in the IT industry. Chandigarh is a good place to be. But if you want to be IT, why locate yourself in Patiala or Bathinda? You're better off doing it here because the environment is there. People are there. You learn from one another. TIE holds a session every 10 days for you to learn from. How many sessions Puneet Vatsayan holds in Bathinda? So the ecosystem is there. There is an advantage in going to a cluster for a startup. And put together enough capital. Most of us falter and stumble in year 1 or year 2 of our business because we haven't put together the capital we required. You thought you had the capital to last 6 months or 1 year because you thought that the cash flows will start emerging in 6 months or 1 year. The cash flows didn't. The cash flows took 1 year longer. Did you have the sustenance power for 1 year longer? Hence the requirement for a very well thought out business plan. Go to the expert to hone that business plan. It will tell you, it will at least pose the right questions regarding marketing, regarding finance, regarding putting the team together. Your capital should be enough to sustain you 6 months to 1 year beyond what you think is going to be your cash flow regime. Pratap is smiling. He's in an industry where cash flow is never a problem, so that's okay. For most of us, cash flow is a distinct issue. And most of these brick and mortar businesses are looking for cash in year 1 or year 2. Some are still looking for cash after 22 years of business, but that's another story. After having put together the business, what is the most important factor? I take 3 minutes. And please realize it's very obvious, but it is the biggest part. And you don't have that. You go to the bank and say, sorry sir, I don't have the means to pay the salary next month. Don't confuse between profit and cash flow. Your expansion plan should be firmly rooted only on the generation of cash flow. So don't be misguided by the chartered accountant who says, sir, we had a lot of nice net profit. Doesn't count at all. Your question should be why? And why is that the cash flow? Number one. Number two, for what period of time is this going to be sustainable? That is the second point. Stay focused. Don't be swayed away. Very easy to say, Puneet has taken over 3 companies and Europe is so easy, if he can do it, why can't I do it? Very simple. You can't do it. Because he's taken 10, 12, 15 years to build that infrastructure. You have to. Stay focused. Generate the cash flows. Generate the managerial infrastructure to expand and then get into it. Till such time, stick to your own knitting. So these were the do's and the don'ts. You persevered, you persisted. Please realize that a great oak tree is a little nut that held its ground. You need to act with self-belief, and if you do that, you need to take the plunge today. Because as Hali used to say, Manjdhar se lado, tund lehron se, so tund is high. Manjdhar is the helicopter. Manjdhar se lado, tund lehron se uljo, kab tak chaloge kinare kinare. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Paul, for sharing your perspectives. I think we'll have time for 2 quick questions. Anyone would have? No questions? Then I'll ask my first question to you. What do you think are the 3 most important characteristics that an entrepreneur should either have or acquire? There are a lot of characteristics you don't typically have when we start out, but you need to acquire to be successful. And these guys are starting out on their journey. So what are these top 3 skills that they would need to learn or acquire as they move ahead?
The first, Puneet, is, as I said, the passion and vision. You have to bring it in to start a business. That's one. The second is to be the leader and the team builder. And the third one is for you to have a simple, marketable idea that is your USP and a competitive advantage.
Any other questions?
Is there a difference between an entrepreneur and an innovator? If you explain what are the concepts?
You see, the innovator would maybe simply innovate. I think entrepreneur is an innovator every day. But innovator may not be the entrepreneur because entrepreneur is a very broad term. But I think an entrepreneur needs to be the innovator every day.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful presentation. My question is a very simple one. I am 21 and I want to start, let's say in a year or something. What is that one thing that I should keep in mind to make sure that, let's say, even if I'm very patient myself, what is that really one thing you can recommend me right now to keep in mind while I'm on the journey to make my business successful in the years to come?
Can you sell that idea?
That's it.
You need to sell that idea for me as a market to take. Can you appeal to me? Is that idea marketable?
Idea.
Some concept, whatever you're thinking of.
I have another one. Through your introduction, introduction, I came to know that you've somehow gone into Chinese market pretty well. My question is basically because of your experience and knowledge about both the countries, India and China, being such big competitors in the modern world today. What differentiates the two countries in terms of attitude and instinct in people becoming entrepreneurial and even people who are big business heads and even students and everything because of your knowledge? Can you give us some perspective on this? Like, what is the main difference in people?
You see, as far as this entrepreneurial bug is concerned, I travel to China at least 3 to 4 times a year. And I had the benefit of comparing the two countries because I did a small study for Tribune 5-6 years back. Don't get taken in by this communist thing. They are as blatantly capitalistic as anybody else is. And the entrepreneurial bug has caught them as viciously as it is with us. Our ecosystem has changed. Early 1980s, we were also not very good at being entrepreneurs. The system has changed. There, the ecosystem was also changed. I think as far as entrepreneurial activity is concerned, I would find both of them to be very similar. Most of the businesses which are small and medium